Ahoy hoy! Welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV. Since last time, I got the other file up, and I got a lot more Empyrean Aether Pool, and when I say I got the other file up, I mean I actually changed it to a Gunbreaker file, because I actually went to floor 70 on the Dark Knight file off camera, and I died to the floor 70 boss because I made a mistake. It's, when you make a mistake on the floor 70 boss, it's instant death, so, and I didn't have a Raising Pomander going. So that was kind of embarrassing, and I lost some progress on my weapon, but I more than made up for it, you know, by going back to floor 60 on Gunbreaker again. And ultimately that will be better, because Gunbreaker at level 70 just has access to so much more of its rotation than Dark Knight does. So it's better in the long run. Anywho, we're going to go in on... we'll go ahead and go in on this file, because this is the file that has the Odin Magicite, if I remember right. And the other file was not lucky enough to get an Odin, but getting back to that floor set wasn't nearly as difficult because of having the higher Aether Pool from the beginning. I also found out that when you get to floor 31 to 40, your weapon doesn't get synced unless it's above 80 Aether Pool strength. So that's fairly informative. You know what I forgot to do before I came in here? I forgot to do something very important. Buy more Empyrean potions. So this would be... oh, that could ruin my run right there. Ow. You die already, you damn thing. Yeah, this run actually might already be borked because I'm an idiot. Everything on this floor set inflicts poison of some sort, and everything hits a lot harder now, as you could note by that Mimic hitting me for over 1/6 of my total HP. So, yeah. Although you know, it's not impossible without the potions. It's just going to be a lot harder. Especially the boss. I won't be able to make any mistakes, and I'll definitely need Pomanders. And I won't be able to handle anything. I won't be able to handle aggroing anything. Oh, this is actually terrible. Oh dear. Well, never say die. Although I did already like 3 times this recording. We're not even 5 minutes in. But yeah, this is a very nasty floor set, and often underestimated. This is where the tower actually starts to pick up. Like, I would equate this floor set to basically the 151 to 160 floor set of Palace of the Dead. It's not an exact, you know, science or whatever, but it's proportional. Like, things aren't unkillable down here by any means, but you notice everything is doing a lot more damage, everything's taking a lot longer to kill, and it only gets harder from here. Although honestly, the monsters, other than their sheer HP and how hard they hit, the monsters in the 81 to 90 floor set aren't really that bad. There's some problematic wandering patrols, but for the most part, there's not a whole lot that you haven't seen by then that this place throws at you, you know? So That's something to keep in mind, I guess. But that's all. That's neither here nor there till we get there. So, and believe me, I'll actually be surprised if I live through this 4 set because I have made a big error in not having those potions. And they just completely slipped my mind. I was like, okay, I'm ready to record. Let's do this. And I might have to throw this recording out. I didn't try recording the Dark Knight one, by the way. I just did it, and it was kind of like a throwaway file anyway, because the Aether Pool was so much weaker that he made it to 470, right? I used about 40 of the Empyrean potions, and the issue that I ran into was that things were hitting me ridiculously hard, and I was killing things slowly because I was missing. Yeah, I started that 4 set with 69 Aether Pool armor, so I was missing 1/3, almost 1/3 of the HP, possible HP that I could have. And I was missing, you know, it started the 4 set with like 76 Aether Pool arm. So I was missing like almost 1/5 of my possible, you know, 20% of my possible offense. And these Jabocos or whatever, you know, they're just Balocos. They're odd. Instead of casting Stone Skin on themselves, they cast it on another monster. I guess the idea is to maximize fuckery if they aggro you while you're fighting something else already. But there's nothing in this 4 set that has, like, at least that I'm aware of, or at least that I can think about right now, that has a an enrage kill mechanic like the sandworms in Palace of the Dead, or the they apply their poison stack every other auto attack, and the longer you fight them, the more it builds up. Eventually that poison will build up to be stronger than their auto attack. And as you can see, it just keeps going. So like, whenever you fight one of these little Wakakusas, Baby Morgul or whatever, it is a good idea to you know, not take them lightly and kill them as quickly as possible. But yeah, in the next 4 set, if we manage to get there, there are some Griffins, and they, if you do not kill them in 30 seconds, they do a move that can one-shot you. Everyone in your party, in fact. So the next 4 set is actually quite risky as well. But other than that, it's not like super bad. There's some Ice Wolves with some nasty Ice Burn dot, and there's some nasty Flans that cast Golden Tongue, a very, very potent version of Golden Tongue. But really not that bad. At least the last few times I did it, it wasn't that bad. You know, the RNG with this place is definitely something that can fuck with you. Where, like, you could get some really easy 4 sets, or you could get some really hard 4 sets. And usually it trends towards really hard 4 sets because, like, the only way you'd have an easy 4 set if it was like 3 or 4 rooms only, and you know, like, you only had to kill like 6 monsters and you got to go up, and you know, like, sometimes you get that, not very often, but sometimes you get that. That's the wrong commander. Me forgetting to get my potions is really shaking me here. But I don't even remember. It's not important. You don't want to engage another one of these things while you still have the first one's bleed dot on you, because the next bleed dot, it won't just override it. If it's from a different monster, it'll stack. Just like dots from players on monsters. So like, yeah, just be careful about that. Same thing with the Tiny Morble poison. And like, yeah, basically, this is part of the dungeon where the game tries to reinforce that you should only be fighting things one-on-one, because they're gonna kick your ass. On the bright side, we have about 18,000 more HP than when I came in here on Dark Knight, so while we don't have potions like we should, like actual Empyrean potions, we're not down and out yet. We might have to use more Pomanders than I want to, but we're not defeated yet. These things are probably the easiest thing you can fight on the floor set. Don't stand in their AoE, but like, they don't do any poison stacks or bomb stacks or anything, so like, as long as you dodge their AoE, it's fine. Got a hefty amount of super potions. Also, if you have to, something you can do on Gunbreaker is you can just, if you're worried about like dying because your HP is getting low and like, like you're trying to stay alive or whatever, you can, pop all your cooldowns is one thing. But you can just go back through the, brutal shell combo over and over again to try to keep your health up. You won't get your powder shells like you're supposed to, but, and you will kill the monster more slowly, but it, can help you stay alive when you otherwise would die. And also, don't be afraid to, like, sprint away if you've got the space to. Like, optimally, like, stun the monster and run. Because if you can kite stuff in here, and that's like, Machinist is actually one of the best jobs to play in here because they kill stuff so quickly and they can just run away and fight at completely at range. And the monsters, depending on what they are, never catch up because they'll stop every 3 to 4 auto attacks to cast something. So like, same thing with Pass of the Dead, really. And it didn't always used to be that good because like, when House of the Dead came out, Machinists had to cast to do good damage. And yeah, they didn't have the ridiculous potencies. They also had an RNG mechanic with bullets. They were probably still pretty good. They probably just weren't nearly as lethal to the monsters in here as they were before. If we get a no abilities floor, since we don't have any potions, our abilities are basically what's keeping us alive, so that's going to be Serenity usage, or Petrification usage, or even Magicite usage. And, I feel really dumb right now, but, well, if we get through this entire floor set without using the potions, then it'll feel great because it'll be more potions for the later runs. And Clyde doesn't actually have that many of the potsherds that you need for that stuff anyway. So he's actually it's kind of a good thing, I guess, that he's sort of, like a victim of my stupidity. whenever I am redoing early 4s, I like to just turn on like podcasts or like YouTube videos where people just like speak at length about stuff. Where like I don't really have to care about the visuals. So before this, I was watching like Plague of Gripes talk about like, I think it was a video from back in March. So like I don't watch Plague of Gripes very often. But he's like this artist, I think he's a furry artist at heart, but he's also got a good head on his shoulders about writing, as far as I can tell. I don't know if he can actually write well, like, without going to like extensive lengths. I mean, his YouTube scripts make him seem like he's a really good writer, like, I have no reason to think otherwise. But I have no idea how long it takes to put those scripts together, especially given how long they are. But anyway, it was a like 50-minute video or 55-minute video on Gohan from Dragon Ball Z, and I really enjoyed it. It was when I was a kid, you know, Dragon Ball Z was just getting like really popular. You know, like it was like the mid-late 90s, and you know, if you were like a real weeaboo back then, you were already reading the manga, and you knew that like Goku went Super Saiyan against Frieza already, and like that like Krillin was gonna die, and all that nonsense. And Jesus, whooping my ass. Oh dear. Oh god. Good thing we had the Raising Pomander. I did not expect to die to that thing. Okay. I guess we'll... Fuck it. We'll, get some Pomander usage going on here. Otherwise, we're... Okay, yeah. It's not going too well, so... Get out of my face. It's real sad, like, what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to waste so many Pomanders. And this probably will cripple this file. Like, this file will probably be the next file that wipes. And depending on my patience, I might not redo it. Like, I would love... I don't necessarily need to show you getting to the top of the tower, because, like, spoiler alert, the very top of the tower is basically just another achievement place where, like, there's no boss, and, you know, you're the best thing in the tower, basically. But, the thing is that, I would like to at least get to the 490 boss, because if you've already noticed the pattern that's going on from the 460 boss, and the fact that this place is sort of linked up to people who knew about, you know, like the Circuit Tower, and the passing on of, like, Allegan's bloodline and whatnot. And the 490 boss is actually a really, you know, cool tie into that. And even if I just get there and open it, like, you'd at least be able to see what it is. Although I'm fairly certain if I made it there with enough time and Pomanders, I could kill it with relative ease. Because the main problem with it is, when you're in a group, it's more dangerous than it is when you're alone, slightly. Because it, you know, it does things where it puts, basically where you have to spread out. And if you don't spread to, like, very specific spots, and then, like, it has some meteors and things, like, you can get your shit wrecked. Of course, there's a video of me fighting it, basically solo on Dragoon, like, way back in my video archive, when this was, like, new. Which I guess if I don't make it there, and I get tired of like redoing files that they wipe or whatever, like I'll just, I'll just link it in like the last Heaven on High video that I do. But that's my goal actually. My goal is to make it to the floor 90 boss and defeat him. Like my goal should be to, just make it to floor 100 and get a big achievement. But I mean, it's not that I don't care about that. It's just that it would be awkward to get it on Clyde. And like, I mean, the files are on Clyde already. I mean, I would still wear the trial title with, Lone Hero or whatever. I'd still wear that with pride, but it'd be better if, if I got it on like my main. I don't think my main has the true hero title either. I don't think it has the horse either. I had another alt character because I used to raid in 2 groups, and that alt I actually wound up running to the top of the tower and doing the tower 4 times with friends on, and I got the horse mount on him, and I never thought I'd really stop playing him, but the fact is ultimately at the end of the day, he is an alt, and I don't care about his progress as much as I care about my main character's progress. Like, he doesn't have any crafters, he doesn't have, like, a Baldessian arsenal clear, he doesn't have, an eternal bond ring or anything like that. But to be fair, the character that my main is eternally bonded to is one of my friends' alt, because I met her on Sargatanas, and I asked if she'd make an alt on Excalibur just to play with me, and then after she made the alt, I was like, hey, you want to get eternally bonded just for shits and giggles in the mount or whatever? And she was like, yeah, sure, why not? If you're gonna pay for it, if that's what you want to do, sure thing, man. It's like non-committal. I don't, it's not like a romance or anything. Let's do this. So we did, and it was kind of adorable. But I wasn't really her type, I guess. And she wound up meeting a guy on Sargatanas who, like, with everything she told me about him, I didn't think that she would want to, like, date him, because it sounded to me like she was complaining about him. Like, complaining as in, like, I hate this guy and I would never, like, play with him. But they wound up getting together in real life. And, like, it was surprising to me. I wasn't, like, super heartbroken or anything, but I was just sort of, like, it was kind of a shock. It was like, whoa, I didn't think that she was gonna, get together with anybody. Yeah, I miss playing with her sometimes, though. She was real refreshing to play with. We actually used to raid together at one point back in Binding Coil, but she got kicked out of the group because the group was retarded. She played Black Mage at the time, and I guess her DPS was a little bit low. I wouldn't know because I play on PS4. But they kicked her out of the group. And I've probably talked about her before in my other ramblings. But in my opinion, her DPS was just fine. Like, we weren't having problems with DPS checks. What we were having problems with were the healers actually healing and actually doing the mechanics assigned to them by the game. Like, in turn 12, which is Phoenix, there's this, brand of Purgatory or whatever mechanic, and it goes on one of the healers, and basically they have to, like, Phoenix will cast another brand of, like, Denial or something like that, and the person who's in Purgatory has to pass their brand to another person. And it doesn't matter if it's another healer or not, like they could pass it to a tank. But if they don't pass it soon enough, then they'll die. But if they pass it like too soon, then like the person they pass it to will die. So it was like kind of like this finicky mechanic, at least the way I remember it. Or that's the way they made it seem. But they didn't have me deal with it at all, because I was just a Dragoon that was doing like you know, really good damage at the time. I think at the time, really good damage was like 600 DPS or something like that, which sounds so low, right? Doesn't it? Like that's not even like you can do 600 DPS nowadays with auto attacks, like, you know, no problem. But back then, you know, that was like you going full bore on your rotation, like doing everything perfectly on Dragoon, and also having good like crit RNG and like having well, there weren't really that many group buffs back then at all, so I guess having like Scholar give you skill speed buff from their fairy and, you know, all this other stuff. So like yeah, that was the thing. They didn't bother with me much. I was mostly quiet and did my job to perfection, and I never screwed up mechanics. But mechanics back then were a lot easier. So like, you know, like saying I never screwed up mechanics was like saying I basically, you know, there weren't mechanics to do. I would have preferred to not have to do that, but as you can see, sometimes this place is bullshit with monsters that basically spawn inside of walls. Although I suppose I could have just abbreviated that by saying sometimes this place is bullshit. But I shot myself in the foot. I wouldn't have to worry nearly as much if I had just bought the damn potions. Because to be honest, we are wasting Pomanders. Like, it doesn't seem like it. Like, it doesn't seem like we're really doing that bad. Because, you know, like, you look at my Pomander list, it's like, oh, you got plenty of them. You know, the only one, you don't have any raising Pomanders, but, like, you know, raising Pomanders aren't that important as long as you just don't die. And, you know, you know, you're not at 3 of 3 of everything, but, you know, you're doing fine. You're doing fine, you know. Like, well, every time you use a Pomander, that's a chance that you might not get another Pomander, unless, you know, you just came upon a box that had the same Pomander in it. Right? Like, if you know you're gonna, you know, like, you have one to get right then yeah, like, Pomander use happens. But, you know, if you're just using them to survive, you don't know if you're actually gonna find another, you know, like another Strength Pomander or another Petrification Pomander, or, you know, like, in Palace of the Dead's case, like another Manticore Pomander. But, yeah. Anyway, I got kind of sidetracked because I was distracting myself by talking. And, I think I, like, tuned myself out because I got aggroed and I was worried about death. But I was talking about Plague of Gripes' Gohan video, right? And how I enjoyed it. And the thing I enjoyed about it was that it reminded me that when I was a kid, and like the Cell Saga was new, at least new to Americans, relatively, and like all my friends thought Gohan was like the coolest character in the show. And that's because, you know, he's a kid, and if you're a kid watching it, you know, this is something that gets brought up in the Plague of Gripes video. He's kind of like your self-insert model. Like, I'm sure not everyone like self-inserted themselves on top of, you know, Gohan, but, you know, it makes sense, right? Well, you know, that sort of thing makes him seem like much more of a character and like relatable. Not to mention the anime actually paints him up with more characterization than he ever got in the manga, and the video goes over that too. And I'd never really thought about it, but like his whole shtick where he fights against Cell, like, and has that cool power-up scene, and like, you know, sees Android 16, like, as an actual character, like, the writing for that is actually, and like this comes from the video, you know, is terrible. Like, he had no reason to, you know Android 16 or feel anything about him other than the fact that he just watched. You know, the anime makes Gohan seem like a gentle soul who, you know, couldn't stand to have any sort of death go on around him, even though, you know, he's surrounded by death from a young age. And, you know, he gets emotionally, he has an emotional reaction to Android 16 dying and truly being dead because he cannot be wished back with the Dragon Balls. And so, you know, he turns Super Saiyan 2 at last, and, you know, it's actually just like a cheap emotional tug, right? Like, on the viewer. It's not actual characterization or anything. Further than that, you know, you really think about it, he doesn't know Android 16 at all. Like, he's never met that guy before in his life. And, you know, so him having like a deep emotional like reaction and then finally bringing out his like full, you know, true power or whatever was kind of, you know, not warranted, I guess. Oh, look, we found some accursed board, but without using an intuition commander. Be careful with these jellyfish. See, they're casting these like numbing tendrils and irritating tendrils and whatnot. Irritating tendrils is instant death, so don't get hit by that. I should have brought that up earlier. But you know, it made me realize and remember that when I was a kid, I didn't like Gohan. And I still don't really like Gohan. But as I grew up, due to peer pressure, like, a lot of people love Gohan. And, like, you know, when you like a DBZ character, it's usually just because they are cool. Like, my personal favorite DBZ character is Vegeta because he is really cool. But also because, you know, he marries Bulma, because, you know, he's like the constant underdog in the series, like, for real, because, you know, it's a series that's basically revolves around Goku. And even while he, you know, he defines himself by how strong he is in relation to Goku, you know, there's that hope. You know, he gives you that hope that maybe someday someone will surpass Goku. And of all the characters that could possibly do it, he would be the one, because of the whole Saiyan shtick and the fact that, you know, he's the only one who's even remotely kept up. Now look, well, the nice thing about Empyrean pot shards, getting them in here, as far as I'm aware, since they go directly into your inventory, if you were to wipe and die, you still get the shards. So that's kind of nice. Also, my opinion on the alteration pomanders, I wouldn't use them on higher floors, especially if you don't have any way to deal with mimics, right? Like, if you can't silence, there's no point in you fighting a mimic if you don't have to. What you're hoping for is the Pigmayoids or whatever. Obviously, that's a 50-50 chance, though, and usually it's mimics. But if you've still got like petrification pomanders and stuff, the mimics have the enhanced chance to drop treasure chests with useful pomanders in them, like strength and steals, or, you know, petrifications, or raisings, or whatever. So, like, you can use an alteration to turn a bad run around sometimes. And so like it's like a gambit, really. It's like a, you know, it's like a bet basically. It's like, okay, I think, you know, if I get, you know, Pigmayoids and they give me boxes, I can keep going, you know. Or if I get mimics and then I petrify them and, you know, they give me boxes, I can recoup my, you know, my stuff. Yeah, these heavenly jellyfish, one time I was up here fighting them, and I didn't think that, yeah, like I was like trying to like look at some, you know, what you say, cheesecake on the internet, and I thought, what's the worst that'll happen? I'll just get paralyzed or whatever. And it was the irritating tendrils, and it was instant death, and I died and lost an entire run. All because I wanted to look at cheesecake. He said, knowing very well that by cheesecake he meant tits and ass. We're getting kind of low on time, aren't we? Hell, if I have to, like, if it means losing the run or not, if I have to, like, if we're, like, lower than 15 minutes when we get to the boss, if we get to the boss, which we will get to the boss, I might use the Odin Commander on the boss, because I'm a dunce. And, you know, screwed up. So. What's in this box? I have a terrible memory. Oh. How did I miss that? Whatever. Uh-oh, debuff floor. What's the debuff? No items and no abilities. Oh, okay. Well, I substitute your reality and replace it with my own. We're just gonna give ourselves a little more time here. And we're gonna use Garuda to say fuck off. Okay. I've probably mentioned it back in the earlier videos, but when you use normal Magicite on bosses, it deals about 15% of their total HP. I don't know if it's a set value, like if it's a set value for bosses, or if they just did it, like they made a value and stuck with it or whatever. Oh, we got our Serenity back, so that's good. Oh, look, we got another alteration. When we have, oh, more potsherd. Sweet. Oh, another frailty. That's good. But, you know, no, we're like recouping all our Pomanders. That's nice. Ah, but it made me lose my train of thought. I suppose we can start checking these. When there's more than one, then you get traps. And that's the kind of trap that we can't deal with. But see, they all act the same, so you have no idea of knowing which one is the trap. Sometimes It just says that they're fake. Oh, look, we recouped our magicite. Oh, but look, it's another, you know, it's another trap. I probably should have just used the safety pomander. That's probably a good tip. Whenever you're on a floor like that and you know you can't afford to fight luring traps, and you've got safety pomanders, you know, especially if you're by yourself, it would behoove you to just use the safety pomander and get rid of the fake teleporting runes. Because, you know, what's that now? I've wasted 2 petrifications. And petrifications are basically get out of jail free cards for the normal floors, you know. They're not quite as good as magicite because of the 30-second time limit, but they're damn near, you know, close enough, right? So I guess if one of these is a trap, we can use a frailty, and then with all the pomander might combined, we should be okay. Oh, but look, we found the real one. Good stuff. And our food wore off, so we'll be rebuffing that. See, floor 69, and there's no debuffs. Seems good to me. Ah, fortune. Acceptable. Intuition. And mimics. Okay, well, maybe we'll recoup our crap, but probably not. Well, we got a steal, so it's not a total loss. We are short on time anyway, so. I always feel like you get serenities when you don't need them. And that's probably just the fact that most of the floors in the tower you don't need serenities for. Whenever you do need them, you don't have them. So it's like one of those things, you know. Got raising pomander still in effect, so that's a good thing. It's a shame I used all the petrifications, though. It's my own fault for not just using a safety last floor, but oh, you lily-livered cocksucker. It's okay, though. Mimics don't really start posing like a super serious threat until the 80s. Like, I mean, they're pretty dangerous right now, and they're pretty dangerous in the 70s as well. And they're always sort of a pain in the ass because, well, you know, you were expecting to get a treasure box, but their attack power starts to, you know, be drastically better than, like, everything else that you're fighting. And, you know, you gotta silence malice. You can't stand in death traps. You know, if you're, like, using a concealment pomander and you're trying to, like, sneak by a completely occupied room, then, you know, they ruin that for you. And they have a higher chance to drop boxes, and sometimes those boxes can also just be another mimic. So it's really sort of shitty. I should probably just go up. I don't think there's going to be anything in this south room, but I gotta check out of principle. Okay, well, we don't really got time to fight those things, so gonna try to do our best to beat this boss without using Odin. But if we do wind up having to use Odin, whatever, it's better than losing the file progress. Alright, that's the way you gotta view this place. Like, you can't view it like, I can save everything for later, and if I don't, then I was screwed anyway. It's like, you have to use what you have to use. Like, you can't predict what's coming next. So it's one of those things, you know. But anyway, this is Kenko. And you can see he's a red Cerberus. And you can dodge Predator Claws, and I highly suggest that you do, because it applies a strong bleed effect. Dodge Slabber as well, because it's, you know, it's strong as well. Now this is where the fight gets interesting, okay? It's a very simple loop, right? If you step into that, you get small. Don't step into it yet. Okay, now you step into it, and stay inside of it. Stay inside. You have no choice when you're stunned, but until you see Devour, you don't want to get out of it. It's kind of reverse from how it would go normally. You know, if like you had to get small to get eaten. For this Cerberus, you have to be small to not be eaten. If he eats you, it'll deal 180,000 damage and you will instantly die. So, you know, it's bad news bears. And he just repeats like this for the rest of the fight, so... When you're small, also, the reason you don't want to enter until the telegraph comes up is he deals 10 times normal damage to you when you're small. Notice how he didn't stun us this time. Or, well, okay, never mind. He stuns you every time. But you can actually try to move out of the puddle before that stun goes off. And if you do, like, I don't know if it's because you go stun immune or what, but you can. And if you do, then you're dead. So, don't do that. Also, if your ping's kind of bad, you can sort of stand underneath his throat to dodge Predator Claws, because it's basically a frontal conal. And, you know, if you can imagine the cone being there, you know, it's, just one of those things. Yeah, see, we didn't get stunned that time. So, we're kind of low on time, and we don't want to get killed or run out of time, so I'll put the frailty back on him, because it'll lower his attack power, and we don't have really any means to heal without it. Without the frailty and the seal on, he will slowly out DPS our defense. So, and our regeneration via Brutal Shell and Aurora. So, you know, as long as you know exactly what you're doing, this boss isn't that bad. The problem for me comes in the fact that I always forget why this boss is bad. I forget the exact order of events. I forget if I needed to be small or big in order to not die. You know, I step out of the puddle too early and I don't get stunned. And that sort of thing. You're probably sitting here watching thinking, man, he really hyped this boss up. It's only because I feel really ashamed of dying to it on Dark Knight. I shouldn't have died to it, but I was dumb. Of course, I was also dealing with a slightly lower, well, a lot lower Aether Pool armor and slightly lower attack power, so my self-heals were weaker and my defense was lower and all that good stuff. But basically easier than the last two bosses, but less forgiving. And the whole lag thing still applies too, you know, you lag getting out of the puddle, you lag getting into the puddle. The game, you know, might decide to kill you. But yeah, that's that floor set. And our Gunbreaker is quickly approaching level 70, so I'll probably get to show that off by the time I'm done with Heaven on High, you know, assuming I actually make it through all remaining floor sets on both files or something. Although it's so close to level 70 now, and I rather enjoy Castor Mabania and Doma Castle dungeon, that I'll probably just go ahead and level it to 70 and show you the story. Now, without further ado, before I do anything else, before I stop this video, we are buying as many Imperium potions as we possibly can, because we cannot afford to be in there without them, especially from here on out. Like, we just cannot afford to be silly, especially on the file I just got done with, because you know, all things considered, as long as it doesn't get too terribly shitty luck in the future, you know, it's gonna be the one that has a guaranteed shot at killing the 90 boss if we get there, because it has Odin. But we'll see. So yeah, that's all for now, I guess. So there's a maximum of 3 more videos for Heaven on High, and then we will finally get back to the storyline. So thanks for watching, and stay safe, and have a good day.